Right livelihood is the fifth mindfulness training that the Buddha shared in his Noble Eightfold Path, alongside right view, right resolve, right speech, right action, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Thich Nhat Hanh, a global spiritual leader, poet, and peace activist, has expanded the teaching on ethical conduct this way, quote, "Aware that great violence and injustice have been done to our environment and society, we are committed not to live with a vocation that is harmful to humans and nature. We will do our best to select a livelihood that helps realize our ideal of understanding and compassion. Aware of global economic, political, and social realities, we will behave responsibly as consumers and as citizens, not supporting companies that deprive others of their chance to live." End quote. The remainder of this video shares 5 other perspectives on right livelihood and how it is being embodied today. The first excerpt is with renowned Indian scholar, activist, and ecofeminist Vandana Shiva. The second is with Filipino scholar, activist, and author Nicanor Perlas. The third is with Sulak Sivaraksa, the founder of the International Network of Engaged Buddhists. The fourth is with Della Duncan, who teaches courses on right livelihood at the E.F. Schumacher College in England. And the last excerpt is with Felipe Viveros, who works with the Gross National Happiness Center in Bhutan.
Original word for right livelihood, of course, comes out of Asia, and it is dharma. And dharma is derived from dhri, which means to hold together the earth, her processes, ecosystems, to hold together society and the balance in community. So right livelihood is living in ways that actually contribute to the harmony in nature and society. And adharma, which is the opposite, is wrong livelihood, is to rupture nature and society.
I've heard people speak about ethical work as another definition of it, and finding your place and the thing that you want to contribute to the world as your unique calling that makes the world whole as well.
Yes. So, when you understand your place, dharma or right livelihood comes out of an understanding of all the relationships that you're a part of. And it is spurred by the awareness that you have a duty to contribute to all of those relationships. That you are not a fragment, an atom, who has obligations only to yourself in all selfishness, but has a duty to the web of life of which you are a part. And therefore, your work based on right livelihood is ensuring that all the relations of which you're a part, it could be your immediate family, but the next circle of your community, the next circle of your region, the next circle of the entire planet, that these ever-expanding circles are part of your living.
For me, right livelihood, from my perspective, is a recognition that if the human spirit really awakens to its true nature, there can be ways of living a life of integrity, of truth, amidst all kinds of opposition, resistance. In my case, and in the case, I guess, of the others, our lives have been threatened, our lives have been obstructed. There have been so many obstacles to realize some of the things that we were able to create in the world. So for me, the right livelihood in a broader context is how the human spirit is able to find a presence in the world amidst all the challenges and obstacles to that, and not to lose the spiritual anchor in the process.
Must realize right livelihood is one of the Noble Eightfold Path taught by the Buddha. People should start with right view, and then right thinking, right speech, right action, right livelihood, until right meditation, right mindfulness. And these 8 Noble Eightfold Path is the path for liberation. Liberation from selfishness, liberation from all the tangles in the world. Once you liberate yourself, the less selfish you are, the more you become compassionate. That's why the Buddha is known as the great compassionate one, as well as the great liberator. So I try to follow the Buddha in my small way. Well, if one is not careful, particularly in this day and age of capitalism, consumerism, people work to get more money, whatever means. So the Buddha said, livelihood is you must concern certain profession you should not be involved with. In the old days, 2,500 years ago, the Buddha said, you should not involve with selling drugs, selling poisons, selling human beings, selling animals, for instance. But of course nowadays you have to apply right livelihood, that whatever creates suffering, you must not have that profession. I don't know whether advertisement is livelihood or wrong livelihood, because advertising is full of lies and want people to buy more and more. Because in the old days, there was no advertising at the time of the Buddha. But I think we have to apply to the modern world. This is, for instance, how to adhere to livelihood. But livelihood could be achieved. You have to start first with right view. That is, you must learn to be less selfish. You must learn to transform greed into generosity, transform hatred into loving kindness, and transform ignorance, delusion into proper understanding, into wisdom. That's essential. With that, then you can carry on with right speech, right action, right livelihood.
The way that I would look at right livelihood is I relate to this quote by Frederick Buechner, and it's a quote that is, the place where God calls you is the place where your deepest gladness and the world's deepest hunger meet. And I've kind of taken that idea in my own interpretation, and I've kind of reframed it a little bit to be, your right livelihood is your place where your deepest gladness, the world's deepest hunger meet at the highest leverage point possible. And what I mean by that is your deepest gladness is what really brings you joy, where you feel flow in your life. For me, it's in front of a group of people. It's speaking to people one-on-one. I feel great flow and energy when I'm with others. For other people, it could be in a garden. For other people, it could be with children. For other people, it could be doing some sort of craft or art. And then the place where the world's deepest hunger is also your interpretation of where you feel that deep hunger is. And it's, for me, it's like, where do you feel touched, or where do you feel this care or concern for the world? And again, this, for some people, this can be one river that's endangered, or one particular species, or it can be racial justice, or women's empowerment, or food, global hunger. So there's many different places that touch us. So where is the place where your deepest gladness or your deepest joy for the world, the world's deepest hunger? So the place where you find where you're the most touched. And then the highest leverage point possible is this point where you feel that you can do the greatest amount of good or difference in the world that you can do. So looking at all your assets, at all your connections, at all your possibilities, really acknowledging the crises we're in, the social, the ecological, and the spiritual crises you're in. What's the highest leverage point or the highest amount of difference that you can make? So that's how I would kind of define right livelihood.
Hello, my name is Felipe Viveros from the Genex Center Bhutan. and I define right livelihood as living a life that is happy, and that at the same time help us bring the planet back in harmony. And I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is is how we can transform ourselves in order to create a different world. And words like simplicity and community comes to my mind, and of course the planet. And I guess right livelihood to me is about all these new buzzwords: restoration and regeneration and thriving, and how we can live a life that is aligned with nature, with the planet, with the cosmos, and with our own spirit, with our own kind of sense of inner guidance, of inner wisdom.